This page is the cover of Saturn Fan Magazine, featuring artwork from Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. It includes a feature on the Sakura Wars 2 development staff, strategies for Pocket Fighter, and a feature on Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. The cover mentions new summer releases from Sega, with Shining Force 2-1, Scenario 3, Nadesico, The Blank of 3 Years, and Pro Yaku Greatest 998 Summer Action, being some highlighted titles. It also advertises a reversible poster for Pia Yukoso 2. There are also segments for Pentathlon and No Shokutaku 2. The next page is an advert for the game D2 with the tagline, "Something terrifying lies beneath the frozen soil in Canada, and now it is awake." It shows Laura, the main character, holding a gun, and the game logo. The advert mentions a horror story set in Canada during Christmas 1999, beginning with Laura's aircraft encountering a strange phenomenon, a giant meteorite falling from space. She then sees men who look like terrorists. After her aircraft crashes, Laura is rescued by a woman named Kimberly, and they wake up in a snowy mountain hut where they encounter dreadful mutants or monsters. The advert poses questions about the accident and the transformation of people into monsters, hinting at a horrifying story with tragic destinies. The game is stated to be coming in winter and running on the Dreamcast. This page is an advert for a Data East summer campaign in 1998, advertising a chance to win a trip to Guam for 5 lucky people. Enter, you needed to purchase one of the featured games and send in the application ticket. The eligible games included Hard-Boiled Adventure, Detective Jinguji Saburo Dream's End, Trauma Center, QQ Chiryu Final Edition, Side Pocket 3, and Sukyu Gurentai, Ubu Shutugeki. Other prizes included Data East merchandise, Zippo lighters, t-shirts, and postcard sets. The campaign ran from July 20th to August 31st, 1998. The page also serves as a table of contents for the magazine, listing features like Pia Yukoso, Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, and previews of games such as Mobile Battleship Nadesico, The Blank of 3 Years, and Shining Force 2, Scenario 3, Icy Walls of the Heresy God. Other topics include Professional Baseball Greatest 998 Summer Action, a scoop on First Love Story, Dreamcast news, and strategies for games like Pocket Fighter, Langrisser vs. Deep Fear, and Sakura Wars 2. Regular features included Continue to Report, Saturn Dream and Saturn Soft Navigator, Newswave, and IC Connection, and articles on a variety of topics, from a column for Saturn fans called the Conehead Club, to a Reader's Ranking Street and Game Research Labs. The next page features the Saturn-exclusive characters from Pia Yukoso 2. It showcases the profiles of 3 female high school students, highlighting their personalities and stats, including height, weight, and bust waist-hip measurements. The characters are Noriko Shima, described as quiet and reserved, Yuki Kamizuka, depicted as slightly mischievous, and Tomomi Aizawa, known for her cheerful and energetic personality. It also teases upcoming information about the game, including sample room updates, digital anime opening sequences, and details about the game's release this fall from developer NEC Interchannel. This page from the magazine focuses on Pia Yukoso 2, a dating sim where you play as a high school student working a summer job at a family restaurant. The article provides tips on how to succeed in the game, focusing on balancing work and romance. It highlights the importance of choosing the right job, as this affects your stats and interactions with the girls. There are 7 job types, including waiter, kitchen staff, dishwashing, and cleaning. It suggests prioritizing jobs that allow you to interact with your favorite character. The page also discusses events that can occur during work shifts and during time off, like breaks or the commute home, emphasizing the importance of making the right choices to increase your desired character's affection. There are snippets of interactions with characters like manager Ryoko, and some images show potential scenarios, such as comforting a crying maid after she's ripped her uniform, and also mentions other characters like Azusa and Minato. The page aims to guide players in building relationships with the game's characters while managing their work life within the simulation. This page from the magazine dives deeper into the strategies for Pia Yukoso 2, offering a how-to guide for summer success. It emphasizes utilizing private time effectively to increase your chances of a relationship, such as studying or jogging, influencing your character's parameters. It highlights that if you meet certain conditions, you can study with character Minato. The article also mentions that spontaneous encounters can happen when you're out and about, such as bumping into Tsukasa at the arcade. To meet other characters, check spots outside of the restaurant, and there are hints on characters at various places. It also advises on limited-time summer events and special date scenarios, such as the doujinshi convention, amusement park, and beach. It says certain conditions must be met to trigger these events and progress towards a happy ending. The page then looks at the mini-character events that can happen when you are working. The next page offers a sneak peek at the digital anime opening for Pia e Yukoso 2, highlighting its production and improvements over traditional methods. It showcases key visuals and scenes, including Azusa in a new pose and a refreshed theme song, Go, Go, Waitress, with newly recorded lyrics. The page features character designs and storyboards, specifically focusing on Tomomi and her introduction. There is an image of the Izumi family and scenes featuring Azusa and other characters, with descriptions of their roles and moments in the game's opening. There is also a variety of other characters and items that appear throughout the game. This page features a spotlight on Lunar 2 Eternal Blue for the Sega Saturn, focusing on the game's story, setting, and visual enhancements. The page highlights key elements of the game's opening, calling them keywords, including the concepts of the Blue Star and Lunar, the mystery of the vanishing world, the story told by the in-game reliefs, and the awakening of Lucia. The article suggests that Lunar 2 boasts a grand-scale story and immersive world that were popular with fans during the Mega CD era. It dives into the opening movie's integration of anime and CG visuals, describing it as film-like. The text points out that the Blue Star is a desolate, snow-covered planet with a massive artificial structure where Lucia resides, while the moon, Luna, is a magical world brimming with life. It poses the question of what events link these two celestial bodies. The page describes a scene where a world vanishes, seemingly destroyed by magic, leaving nothing behind. There is also mention of relief carvings depicting battles, despair, and the appearance of a divine figure. Finally, it mentions Lucia's awakening within a crystal, and her murmurs about Luna upon seeing the moon in the sky. The page also includes game data information, such as the release date, publisher, genre, number of players, price and development status. The next page showcases Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, and its key features, highlighting its engaging narrative, character development, and enhanced visuals on the Sega Saturn. The article emphasizes the importance of human drama within the game, focusing on the characters' struggles and growth as they try to save the world of Luna. It specifically praises Lucia's development, noting her transformation from an emotionless being into someone capable of expressing joy and sadness. It also touches upon the fast-paced battle system, featuring chibi characters that fill the screen. Improvements to AI and graphics are mentioned, making battles more enjoyable. The article mentions the Bromides collectibles are back. Also mentioned is a new collectible called Emblems. The 4 heroes and dragons from the Lunar universe also appear in the game. Finally, it recommends playing the original Lunar Silver Star story to fully appreciate the sequel. The piece also presents key characters, such as Jessica and Lun, who are related to characters from the first game. Mention is made of the 2 versions of Lunar for the Saturn, and the MPEG version, that features full-screen animation. This page dives deeper into the characters of Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, and their relationships. It starts with Hyro, an adventurous treasure hunter living with his grandfather. Then there's Ruby, Hiro's ever-present companion, constantly displaying her emotions and jealousy towards Lucia. The article explores the evolving dynamic between Hyro and Lucia, highlighting their initial awkwardness and eventual connection. Next is Ronfar, a former lover who's had his own troubles. He is presented as unreliable but dependable when it counts. And Jean, who overcame her past. We also see snippets of the game's environments, battles, and character interactions. Then there is Lemina, the head of the Magic Guild, portrayed as lively and money-obsessed. The next page of this magazine provides a look at the scenarios and characters in Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. The article highlights the village of Temis, where Hiro and his group find themselves blocked by wanted posters. They encounter a mysterious hooded figure who offers a way forward, hinting at a secret agenda. As they head to the mountain behind the town, they are ambushed by a giant, toy-like boss controlled by Lemina, who is testing their skills for Magic Guild membership. If they refuse to join, Lemina forces her way into the group. The team then travels towards the magical city of Vane, and a scene where they fall from Lemina's magic carpet. The party arrives at Newt Village, and encounter Leo again. A large river divides the village. As the party attempts to cross a bridge, the dragon ship, Bulgar, emerges. The article also shows a carnival scene, where the characters change into different clothes. There are a number of scenes showing the characters in different situations, and some full-motion video scenes are also included. Some of the main characters are highlighted here, such as Jean, Ruby, and Lemina. Also included is a shot of one of the characters in a clown costume. This page is a preview of the Sega Saturn game, Martian Successor Nadesico, The Blank of 3 Years. The article highlights that this sound novel acts as a bridge between the TV series and the movie, filling in the untold blank 3 years. The player takes on the role of an original protagonist, and the game features new characters to discover. The game genre is a sound novel. The page features Tenkawa Akito, who is a returning character from the TV series. Additionally, it introduces a new character, Rabio Petreka, a 16-year-old pilot trainee known for her extraordinary piloting skills and her supposedly normal girl personality. The game features a new scenario, which unfolds during the blank 3 years between the TV series and the movie. The game uses still anime graphics with full voice acting and incorporates various systems to enhance the sound novel experience. The next page dives deeper into Martian Successor Nadesico, The Blank of 3 Years, highlighting its ability to capture the essence of the original series and features satisfying elements for fans. It promises an original story set during the blank 3 years, and follows a protagonist, a soldier with amnesia, allowing the player to unravel the mysteries and rediscover lost memories. The gameplay includes frequent choices that influence the narrative, character interactions, and even the personalities of the female characters. The game features the returning cast with full voice acting, and new characters like Subo Ryuko. The page teases various scenarios, including encounters with familiar faces and pivotal moments from the TV series, and highlights the personality matrix system, which evolves the protagonist's personality based on player choices. The bottom of the page shows screenshots and descriptions of choices and how they affect the story. This page focuses on Shining Force 2I Scenario 3, The Palace of Frozen Souls, the final chapter of the Shining Force 2I saga. It highlights key elements, such as the story's connection to the previous 2 scenarios, focusing on the clash with the Bolzum sect. The page features Julian, a mercenary from Enrich, who has appeared in the previous scenarios and has a personal vendetta to resolve. It also introduces Presby, a wise military advisor, and Gracia, a mysterious priestess with ties to Walkery. Additionally, the page contains a brief interview with the Takahashi brothers, developers of the game, discussing their approach to creating a storyline with unexpected twists and linking all 3 scenarios together. They are trying to create a narrative that will surprise and engage players. The game is slated for release in the summer, and multiple endings are being considered based on player choices. The next page covers Shining Force 2I Scenario 3, The Palace of Frozen Souls, and its key points, focusing on the mysterious Walkery. It asks whether Walkery is an enemy, and highlights her connection to the storyline, which sees Julian, Dawnhort, and Garcia traveling to the imperial capital, Destonia. The page also shows Walkery's attack methods, and how Dawnhort, a new player character, can control her. There's a spotlight on the improved graphics, particularly the polygonal towns and the detailed textures inside Destonia's church. The improved graphical quality makes the game look more appealing, with extra details like writing on signs and the appearance of the church. The Takahashi brothers provide insights into the game's new characters, locations, and battle features, and how the game is enhanced graphically, while retaining the classic Shining Force feel. They touch on the addition of new camera angles and navigation systems. They also reflect on the transition from the Sega Saturn to the Dreamcast. This page introduces the basics of Wackenroder, detailing its systems and early story elements. The game is described as a scenario-driven simulation RPG, where progressing through battles advances the story. The gameplay loop involves preparing at a location, entering an event, engaging in battle, and then triggering another event. Key gameplay mechanics include the attack point, AP system, where actions like movement and attacks consume AP, and the sledge attack item, which accumulates heat and can temporarily disable units if overheated. The page explains how units can move, attack, use items, and wait to cool down their sledge, and also shows the screen after battle where items are equipped. The article covers a brief summary of the game's storyline and the conditions for victory and defeat in battle. This page covers the early stages of Walkenroder, focusing on the initial 4 combat maps, the storyline, and map strategies. It introduces Lucian and Carol's fateful encounter, starting with Lucian's past and his sister's illness. The first encounter occurs in a tavern, and Lucian fights beside Carol's against assassins, which is the first battle players will encounter. This initial map is pretty basic, but players should use it as an opportunity to get familiar with the battle system. The second map involves escaping the city with Zappa's help. This area has switches to open paths, and it requires finding and activating all 3 switches to progress. The third map takes place in Dragon Ashur, a forest inhabited by the Durin people. Here, players must rescue the Chemical Brothers who have been captured and locked away. The fourth map is also in Dragon Ashur. In this map, the player needs to defend against the attack of bandits and ensure that Lucian is alive. Characters like the Chemical Brothers and Fatboy Slim are introduced, and screenshots of gameplay and dialogue are shown throughout. This page features Greatest 998 Summer Action, a baseball game for the Sega Saturn. The latest data version includes players who weren't in the previous release, like Kazuhisa, Haru, and others. The comms AI has been tweaked, and the camera angles during Just Meet moments have been adjusted. The game has powered up the Narrated mode, where compatibility with the team's coach affects gameplay. Screenshots show various in-game scenes, including gameplay, character interactions, and dialogue. There's also mention of OB players, veteran players, being included. Additionally, the page highlights the upcoming Saturn port of First Love Story. Originally released for the PC Engine, the Saturn version features new elements, including a new character named Liliana, with character designs overhauled. The game promises a remake with a cast of popular voice actors. The next page is about the Sega Saturn game, First Love Story. It starts with an overview of the game's premise. The main character, due to a sudden move, has 1 month to confess his love, training himself with advice from the angel Liliana. The game allows players to customize their characters' relationships and school years, offering 27 different scenarios with 3 heroines. Risa Shiroshima as a primary school student, Rui Mizuki as a middle school student, and Tomomi Kirishima as a high school student. The choices made by the player affect the storyline and character interactions. The schedule involves 2 daily sessions, with 6 activities to balance study and training, influencing the affection of the heroines, and special events are triggered as the relationship deepens. New scenarios and adjustments have been made. The page includes an interview with Liliana's voice actress, Ms. Zin Sugawara, who discusses the theme song and her impression of Liliana. She talks about Liliana as a maternal figure, offering gentle encouragement. There's a promotion to win Ms. Sugawara's autographed illustrations from this interview. The Koga Game Factory website is also highlighted, featuring updates and character designs from the game, and includes the address for the website. The next page features Farland Saga, Toki no Daoyu. Farland Saga, The Milestone of Time, the sequel to Farland Saga. This installment, a strategy simulation RPG, promises a brighter scenario than its predecessors. Set 8 years after the original, the story revolves around Corinne, a mage who is now 16. After losing her grandfather, she embarks on a journey. The game retains its tactical gameplay, emphasizing character relationships and terrain advantages. Joining Corinne are several companions, including Sophia and Elraine, an elven mother and half-elven daughter, Alice, a wealthy heiress, Sarah, an exotic fighter, Al, an amnesiac swordsman, and Radish, a bard. This page is a special feature on Sakura Wars 2, Thou Shalt Not Die, focusing on the development team's insights. The team discusses the challenges of increasing the game's volume while shortening the development time. The programmers highlight the need for constant communication and collaboration, while the directors touch on the difficulty of finalizing character personalities and dialogue. The team shares their favorite elements, with the discussion touching on the lip system to keep the player engaged and the equality committee to ensure balanced character development. The team shares their favorite characters, with the topics covering characters from Sumair to Koran. The conversation highlights the challenges of revealing Rini's true nature as a female character, and touches on the minigame Columns 2 and the ideal characters to feature in it. The team reveals their personal favorite scenes, including Sunemair's final scene and Rini's encounters. The page concludes with a recommendation to watch Sunemair's transformation in the final episode and the collaboration between father and daughter to face the train. The Sakura Wars 2 development team discusses various game aspects: graphics consistency, particularly ribbon colors and cutscenes, and meeting deadlines are highlighted. Opening sequences, including the portrayal of the Kubu armor, and character selection are also discussed. The choice of Billionaire over Mahjong for a minigame, mouse compatibility, and integrating minigames with the storyline are mentioned. Anecdotes about strategy guides and AI quirks are shared. Risque scenes in the bathhouse are discussed, noting the use of Steam for censorship. Battle scenes, character development, strategic depth, difficulty balancing, events, and collaborations with external teams like Team Pineapple are addressed. The importance of commander character impact and the game's blend of romance, drama, and combat are emphasized, along with features like team attacks and character-specific attacks. The team concludes that battle quality has been significantly improved. This page is an article previewing the game Oju-sama Tokyu, Express Girl Lady Express, with the subtitle, What is Good to Eat? The article focuses on the charm and high-quality graphics of the game. The game has 13 heroines, and the dating gameplay is unique in that the protagonist can date multiple girls at once. The outcome of conversations affects gameplay, and save scumming is discouraged as the girls' moods change. The game features famous tourist spots as dating locations, such as the Sapporo TV Tower with the character Mami Sakurai, Nagashima Spa Land with the character Satomi Chitose, and Kyoto Movie Land where the character Fune Iwaizumi appears. Character expressions and animations are a major focus. The game boasts approximately 2,000 animation patterns. The Vega train has minigame parlors, with games like slots, poker, blackjack, and a shooting game called Sanoarm. Winning medals can be exchanged for prizes. The article concludes by pointing out hidden details. The characters Miyatoshi, as a conductor, and Akiko, chef, feature in the game. The next page details the battle system of Slayers Royal 2. The article analyzes the battle system, focusing on the passage of time. It shows a battle from start to finish, explaining the actions of each character and highlighting system changes. A game sequence shows Lina and Guri fighting Naga. Naga moves first, then Gary attacks. The turn order is based on character speed, but with a degree of randomness. After Gary's attack, it's back to Lina's turn. Naga casts Ice Arrow at Lina. Guri is being rested for now. Naga uses Blast Wave, then Lina uses Dragon Slave. The article notes that the Dragon Slave spell takes time to cast, and that Naga attacks Lina with Fire Arrow, but the attack is blocked by a tree. The page also includes information such as the release date being August 27th, distributed by Kadokawa Shuten especially, developed by Onion Egg, priced at 6,800 yen, and is a role-playing game for all ages that can be played by one person. This page from the magazine focuses on Radiant Silvergun, giving a final check on the game's stages. The article mentions that there are 6 stages in the Saturn mode, unlike the arcade mode which has branching paths. It highlights that the Saturn version includes original stages not found in the arcade release. The page then previews each stage. Stage 1. No difference between the versions. Stage 2. Stages from the past. Stage 3 places you on an opening movie. Stage 4 features 5 bosses, ending with CA2XO. Stage 5 is exclusive to the Saturn version. It includes battles against SBS 130 and an original boss. Stage 6 is a completely original stage for the Saturn, featuring bosses like Varus and Bichu. This page is all about Madu Monogatari, a light-hearted RPG where you play as Arle, a young magician, and her companion Carbuncle. The reviewer seems excited about the game. The game is set in the Madou world, with Arle starting her adventure in the town of Relax. Players will gather information in towns to reveal locations on the map. The combat system is party-based, with players strategically using attacks, support moves, items, and guarding. Each character has a SP special gauge that powers up special attacks. Carbuncle, while generally a mascot, can unleash a powerful carbuncle beam. The page notes that familiar characters will appear as allies and enemies, and mentions that the game features unique dungeons. It also mentions that the game was released on July 23 by Sega, developed by Compile, costs 5,800 yen, and is rated for all ages. The page describes the game as a role-playing title for one player, with no peripheral devices, and 57 blocks of backup memory. The next page is a walkthrough of Madou Monogatari. It talks about the beginning of Arle's adventure, where strange events are occurring in the peaceful Madou world, causing monsters to act strangely. Arle and Carbuncle set out to solve the mystery. The walkthrough continues as the characters head to Yarn's forest after visiting Relax Village, encountering a strange creature that attacked Lulu. It then goes on to Skeleton Tet's issue, where the villagers are being deprived of their tea due to Skeleton Tet's greed. To resolve this, Arskale and her party head to the Catalina ruins. After the events at the Catalina ruins, Scherzo appears and explains the existence of an evil being. The article continues with a guide about heading to Kutsurogi town after hearing of a fire-breathing child in Colette Plains. Next, the party heads toward the Fukena cave to face Yog. This is followed by recruiting Harpy in the forest of Ijaru. Finally, the party heads to the Incubus mansion and encounters a dilemma. The page ends with the party at Incubus's mansion, having a battle and finding a key. The player is then presented with a choice: rescue Draco or Witch, which affects the subsequent story. This page showcases the Konami Antiques MSX Collection Ultra Pack. It highlights that the graphics and BGM are fully transplanted from the MSX version. The collection includes 30 Konami MSX titles released from 1983 to 1988. The games shown are divided into shooting and sports genres. The shooting games include Gradius, Gradius 2, Parodius, Sky Jaguar, Super Cobra, Time Pilot, Salamander, Life Force, Gopher's Ambition. The sports games include Konami Boxing, Konami Ping Pong, Konami Golf, Konami Tennis, Konami Billiards, Hyper Sports 2 and 3, Konami Soccer, and Konami Rally. The titles include familiar names, like Gradius 2, which borrows its name from the arcade game and features a similar story. The text highlights that finding hidden maps within each stage is crucial to progressing to the final level. This page is an advertisement for the NCS Corporation's Konami Antiques MSX Collection Ultra Pack, a compilation of classic action games. It features 11 games, including Valley of the Kings, Mobile Rangers, Pie Poles, The City of Shadows, Wanpaku Athlete, Magical Tree, Ponpokopan, Antarctic Adventure, Penguin Kun Adventure Series, Ye Ar Kung Fu Series, and The Mysterious Stones of Seiryu. The page also promotes the Dream Generation Hybrid Card Collection and Sound CD, advertising upcoming appearances at Comic Market 54 and the Tokyo Character Show. Finally, there is an advertisement for the Mesa Can Club membership. The advert includes the text, Dream Generation, Romance or Work, and advertises the upcoming new simulation game. The next page shows an advert for the game Team Hearts for the Sega Saturn. It boasts that it features character designs by Kitaru, dramatic full voice acting, and a completely renewed game system that maximizes the capabilities of the Sega Saturn with original artwork. The page also has a Conehead Club section where they review games and talk about gaming-related topics. The staff member Ushi discusses their current addiction to Langrisser. IV also mentions how they name characters in games, using names from other games or characters to create a sense of emotional connection. One of the writers for the column mentions their experience of receiving a chain letter. Other staff discuss using names of the soccer player, Narasaki, as character names, and talk about sending in letters and a cartoon section. This page is a postcard submission form for the Sega Saturn Fan Magazine, with sections for game scores, fan art, and general correspondence. It includes spaces for personal information like address, name, pen name, phone number, and age. There's a note encouraging readers to send in their letters and artwork, and to mark the intended corner of the magazine with a circle, and a reminder that any type of postcard is acceptable. There's also a small section encouraging players to write to their favorite contributor. Quote, "The next page presents a We Are Supporters section, showcasing fan-created content like illustrations and writings for games and characters. It features fan submissions related to games such as Sakura Wars 2, Vampire Savior, Dragon Force, and Lunar 2. The page has various drawings, comments, and opinions from readers, including character interpretations and thoughts on different games. The games mentioned include Sakura Wars 2, Vampire Savior, Lunar 2, Breath of Fire 2i, Grandia Pia Carrot Dragon Force, and the first winners of the Illustration Hall of Fame are Snowfield Makoto for Dragon Force, Takashi Sawada for the House of the Dead, Akashi Tomoko for Dragon Force, Char, Jaja for Horiarch, and Asada Nikki for Sakura Wars 2. This page includes several sections: Kids Hope, Corn Kids Network Board, Sega Am Freak, Record Preservation Committee, Illustration Gallery, and Corn Kids Q&A, along with a submission guideline section. Kids Hope discusses the impact of Sega's self-deprecating marketing, featuring fan opinions and a story about Saturn games being sold at discounted prices due to the console's decline. The Corn Kids Network Board shares fan opinions on previously published content, specifically addressing issues of plagiarism and artistic integrity, and fans sharing personal experiences and encouragement. The Sega Am Freak section shows character artwork from the game Deep Fear. The Record Preservation Committee touches on power memory issues and the discontinuation of FDD production and concerns about data storage for Sega Saturn. The Illustration Gallery features fan-submitted artwork inspired by various games and characters. Corn Kids Q&A discusses fans' personal questions about dating and game recommendations. The final section explains the rules for submitting to the magazine. The next page is a reader survey and gift section, where 50 readers can win prizes. The page includes an extensive questionnaire covering topics such as the reader's favorite magazines, gaming platforms, and desired software. There's a section for readers to provide impressions of the current issue and suggest improvements. The questionnaire asks about games played, school/occupation, age, and gender. Readers are asked to list magazines they read, game consoles they own, and consoles they plan to buy. They also need to list games they want, and which articles in the magazine they liked or disliked. The gifts available are a selection of software titles, including Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, Mobile Suit Gundam, The Blank of 3 Years, Back-and-Rotor, Pro Baseball Greatest 998 Summer Action, Farland Saga, The Time Passage, Oju-sama Tokyu, Princess Express, Slayers Royal 2, Radiant Silvergun, Madu Monogatari, and Oju-sama on Nere. Target the Princess. There are instructions on how to fill out the survey correctly, advising readers to use specific types of writing utensils and providing examples of good and bad forms. The page also features lists of games from previous articles and magazines, listing game types and consoles. These include titles like Eternal Blue and Princess Maker, consoles and games, and release info for titles like Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, and Legend of Heroes. This page presents a breakdown of game rankings, focusing on Saturn sales, anticipated titles for the NEC Interchannel, and highly desired games for potential ports. The Saturn sales rankings highlights the top-selling titles for the periods of June 15-21 and June 22-28. Langrisser V, The End of Legend, tops the charts for the first period, while Become a Director of the Japan national team. World Soccer RPG leads the second. The popularity ranking section features titles like Black Matrix, Pia Carrot Yukoso 2, and Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, noting NEC Interchannel's strong presence. The porting wish ranking includes Street Fighter 03 and Cybernetic Empire, reflecting reader interest in these titles being ported. The page includes a direct message from the manufacturer, acknowledging the decline of Saturn titles and their efforts to address the need for more ports, specifically mentioning the PS release of Exodus Guilty. This magazine page features Sega Saturn game rankings and reviews. Grandia Digital Museum tops the list, praised for its gameplay and minigames. Revolutionary Girl Utena is lauded for its story and visuals. Desert Island Story R is a lighthearted simulation game. GT24 receives criticism for its lack of challenge. King of Games is an adult game with strong production values, but a weak gameplay element. The page also promotes reader submissions for reviews, with a telecard and software voucher as prizes. A list of upcoming review games and a July 21st deadline are included. The next page features Dreamcast games with reader comments, showcasing what readers want. The rankings of the most interesting and boring articles are shown. Luna 2, Eternal Blue and Super Robot Wars, F Final Chapter are the top interesting articles, while Woodlike Golem Figure Book, Ultraman Encyclopedia Volume 3, and Sea Fishing are the most boring ones. The page also lists the winners of a previous contest, including names from various regions. On the right side of the page, the Dreamcast is promoted as the hottest title on the Sega Saturn magazine, the headline reading, "Frontline, fully equipped to win." The text describes the product as General Entertainment Penguin Debut Creature. The bottom of the page also displays a new character, showing the front, side, and back. The headline shows Pen Pen Triathlon, Di no Shokutaku 2, Sengoku Turb, and Atsumete Gojira Kaiju Daishugo. The next page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Pen Pen Triathlon by General Entertainment. It features comical penguins sliding, running, and swimming. The game is described as a new kind of racing game that makes use of the Dreamcast's capabilities. It emphasizes that Pen Pen Triathlon isn't just about completing laps. It involves running, swimming, and sliding actions. The game also utilizes the Dreamcast's memory capacity to eliminate loading times. The page indicates the game would be released on November 20th and is a race game for all ages. The game supports multiple players, unspecified peripherals, and memory backup. There's also a section titled, What's TR2 Ceylon, describing the game as similar to a triathlon, but with running, sliding, and swimming. This page showcases the 7 unique Pen Pen characters from the game Pen Pen Triathlon. They are competing to be number 1 in the Triathlon and include Sparky, Tina, Sneak, Mr. Bo, Back, Jaw, and Ballery. The page provides character bios and highlights their personalities. Sparky is energetic, childlike, speed-obsessed, and service-oriented. Tina is fashionable, loves money, looks flashy, and is somewhat prideful. Mr. Bo is headstrong, always runs at full speed for no reason, and is a bit dim-witted. Jaw is a rowdy, bad-looking, easily angered shark pen. Back is laid back but becomes scary when angry, and is very strong. Sneak is a prankster who is always fooling around and loves to play pranks. Ballery is cute, jealous, easily excited, and helpful. The page also answers what Pen Pens are, and states they live on the distant ice planet. And the game features various types like penguin, hippo, sea lion, dog, octopus, and shark Pen Pens. The next page introduces Pen Pen Triathlon, a racing game that blends running, swimming, and sliding into one course. It emphasizes the character's expressive animations and emotions, setting it apart from typical racing games. The page notes that courses are filled with obstacles and mischievous characters who interfere with the race, and mentions the importance of strategy and devilish tricks to win. The article highlights that each course combines 3 actions, and that the interfering pen characters are there to make things more interesting. This page introduces the team behind Land Ho, a new game under development, consisting of staff members from famous titles such as Panzer Dragoon and Sega Rally Championship. The team, named Land Ho, after the exclamation pirates shout when they discover treasure, aims to create games that are accessible to everyone. A character designed in the likeness of the Sega mascot character from Pen Pen Triathlon is featured on this page, as well as screenshots from Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei and Sega Rally Championship. Team members are introduced with photos, titles, and comments. Staff members like Tomohiro Kondo worked on Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2 and are looking forward to releasing system updates. Atsuhiko Nakamura worked on Sega Rally Championship and Daytona USA and mentions how great the gameplay is. Masanobu Tsukamoto assists in sales, promotions, and game production. Daisaku Ikejiri also helps with sales, promotions, and game production. He highlights the fast-paced, comical action. Programmers include Junichi Suto of Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2, Akira Wada of J-League Pro Soccer Club, and Masami Nikawame of Panzer Dragoon Zwei and Azul. Panzer Dragoon RPG. Designers include Takumi Miyake of Nights into Dreams and Chaotix, Shine Ishiwatari of Sonic 1 and 2 and Azul, Saori Wada of Sega Rally Championship and Greatest 997, and Harumi Masuda of Victory Goal and Greatest 9. They share their thoughts on their work and look forward to players enjoying the finished product. The next page is all about Dead 2, a Dreamcast game from Warp. Emphasizing its shooting battle scenes, it teases the intense shooting action. The game features a shooting-style gameplay similar to arcade games. As you enter a battle, the screen displays the gun sight, and players must pull the trigger to shoot the monsters, using different weapons like flamethrowers, shotguns, and bombs, depending on the enemy. Monsters are lurking in the field, and as Laura approaches, an entrance scene plays. The environments include snowy landscapes, with snow even falling during battles. Monsters appear in various ways, such as emerging from snow, or jumping out from behind buildings. The screen displays essential information like the gun sight, equipped weapon, and health bar. The character's condition is indicated by flames that change color based on health. The green line indicates Laura's blood, while the red one represents the monster's blood. Upon taking damage, monsters explode with various parts scattering. This page offers a deeper dive into the world of D2. It highlights the attention to detail in the 3D environments, like the snow-covered landscapes. Players can expect realistic touches, like snowmobile tracks, and footprints. The game features elements like a snowmobile for rapid transit across the snowy Canadian mountains, with the snow effect being a key focus, not just pre-rendered but actually calculated on the go, with individual snow particles reacting. The page also gives a glimpse into the opening scenes, where a terrorist attack at a mountain lodge leads to monstrous transformations. It highlights the moment Laura and Kimberly are resting in a mountain hut when terrorists attack. This scene shows the evolution of characters into monsters. The next page features an interview with Kenji Ino regarding D2. Ino shares insights into the game's development, combat mechanics, and narrative themes. Ino discusses the combat system, aiming for accessibility while retaining depth through strategic weapon choices and destructible environments. He touches on the importance of balancing difficulty, hinting at post-game content and additional challenges. He talks about the game's themes, exploring the concepts of creation, destruction, and the collective unconscious. Ino expresses his desire to portray the human condition, touching upon themes of love, family, and existential struggle. He also touches on the setting and narrative of the game, which he has filled with his own feelings and vision. The page also includes screenshots of the game, showcasing the snowmobile gameplay and the game's shooting segments. Shozaburo Tachishi, CG development director at Warp, discusses his role in D2, focusing on the game's visual design. He details his work with director Kenji Ino on creating the snowy mountain environments, emphasizing the design of the heroine, Laura. The team's shared interests contributed to a cohesive vision. Inspiration for the snow came from observing drift ice, and the team experienced firsthand the harsh conditions in locations like New Zealand, Canada, Finland, and Alaska to capture realistic environments. Tachishi highlights the opening sequence's smooth transition into the game world, and the technical challenges of pushing hardware limits to create a unique experience. He aims for D2 to be the top winter game of 1998. Finally, a delay in the promotional video delivery is announced. This page features an interview with Yoko Kuroyanagi, the character designer also known for her work on Tamagotchi. The interview focuses on her role in creating the world and characters for the Dreamcast game Sengoku Turb. Kuroyanagi describes her creative process as drawing from her personal preferences and combining elements like bears and rabbits to make a world where like-minded individuals can enjoy. The world has interesting scenery, with things like sushi and ice cream stuck in the ground. She mentions that sushi are in the form of a candy. Kuroyanagi faced challenges translating her original artwork into CSEG, which was a struggle with the developers. Kuroyanagi likes that her characters have some strange traits. She also discusses the main character, Jino-chan, a seemingly young character who is actually around 28 to 30 years old, and her personality, which she sees as a reflection of herself. There's also talk of the newly revealed characters, Dr. Sheep and Dr. Nanore, who are designed to resemble Kuroyanagi herself. The characters have designs, with their own unique quirks. Gino-chan's design is discussed, including her mismatched eyes and unusual feet. There is a table showing the release date, developer, price, genre, and age rating for the game. The next page advertises Atsumete Godzilla, Kaiju Daishugu, for the visual memory, VMU, of the Dreamcast. It's described as the first game that gives new dreams, and includes an interview with the developers. The game involves raising famous Toho monsters and battling them against friends using the VMU's connectivity. Over 30 monsters from the Godzilla series and other Toho special effects films are included. We also have some pixel art screenshots of the monsters in the game. The release date is July 11th, and it's compatible with the Dreamcast. This page is all about Atsumete Godzilla, Kaiju Daishugu, for the visual memory. The article deeply examines the game's content, stating it's easy to play but has depth. The gameplay revolves around raising monsters, where the growth process is detailed in 4 stages. From egg to baby, little, junior, and adult monster, before eventually dying of old age. There are 4 different farms you can select, each being important for monster growth. There's a battle system, where you shoot down incoming missiles to power up your monster. Then you can battle with friends. The battles have a power meter, and the losing monster disappears. You have to collect all the monsters to complete the monster list. Winning battles also leads to mutations. We have an interview with General Entertainment developers Makoto Hara and Masanobu Tsukamoto about bringing Godzilla to the Dreamcast and the development process. They discuss the challenge of representing Godzilla's appeal on the visual memory. Tsukamoto states, "This game is designed so that all Godzilla fans will appreciate it." The game will be out in stores on July 30th. The next page is part of the Game Research Institute, offering tips and strategies for various games. There are reader questions. How to defeat bosses in Star Ocean, the second story. What are some cool combos for Batsu in rival schools united by fate? And where to find hidden items and enemy locations in Langrisser vs. The article promotes the Kuryaku Dai Gijin Guide. The guide promises to provide solutions and information for various game genres. The article details how to become a coach of the Japanese national football team in a game. Key points are finding notable mentors and scouting notable players. You can meet the former coach Mr. Kakuta to get advice. This includes scouting, technique, popularity, personal skill, cooperation, coaching, and negotiation. The game features managers and players such as Danwas, Hoyt Rock, Griffiths, Chan, Kalharai, Cervantes, Sun, Grovelot, Sankigri, Sacho, Eckhart, Potecchia, and Torsulieri. This page continues the Game Research Institute Guide. It offers tips on how to succeed as the Japanese national football team coach in the game. Here are the key elements to focus on. First, clear evaluation conditions by achieving goals in performance, technique, matches, guidance, and popularity. Next, acquire legendary items to enhance your team, such as the Speed of Light shoes, Yamato Takeru uniform, Zeus glove, and Miracle amulet. Then, develop your son into a star player, as his growth depends on your protagonist's type. You can train him at training camps. The page also suggests earning money through bonuses by winning tournaments, such as the International Cup, Asia/Oceania Cup, Asian Champions Cup, Winners' Cup, and Winslow Cup, which offers cash prizes. It recommends scouting for the best players, such as Simbali, Kodaka, Mihono, and Asahi. Finally, it gives tips on mastering link plays to increase success, emphasizing the importance of watching matches to understand player movements, and making strategic decisions based on those observations. The example play pattern involves dribbling through the center with player 9 and passing to player 10 for a shot. The next page delves into the Unearth Memories game, providing a chart for players struggling to meet that girl. This guide focuses on mastering the main scenario up to October of the second year, emphasizing the importance of utilizing your ego stat and providing data on part-time jobs. Before diving into character-specific strategies, the guide offers advice on training and combat. It highlights the importance of conserving ego and selecting choices that minimize its use. It also details how to effectively use part-time jobs to recover ego and increase stats, listing various jobs with their requirements and rewards, like delivering packages, stagehand, cleaning, gardening, tutoring, and writing. The page emphasizes the importance of self-improvement through training, suggesting players take on courses. It lists the stats for Cure and mentions key spell cards for battle, such as Hold, Haste, and defensive cards like Wall of Fire and Shield, as well as the healing card, Heal. A section details events at the Evening Touch House, where players can encounter Jinasu and pursue his story. It provides details on key characters, like Arian, a noblewoman with a fascination for the common folk, and Stanley, who the player must defeat by the end of the year. There are also lists of daily events, including those for Arian and IIFFY, focusing on how to successfully navigate events with these characters. This page continues the strategy guide for Unearth Memories, focusing on specific character storylines and events. It covers the storylines of Olivia, Tika, and Marcia, offering advice on how to navigate their respective scenarios. For Olivia, the guide stresses the importance of the Winter Solstice Confession. It warns that failing to manage your ego properly can lead to a bad ending or a falling out. It also provides a list of events and choices related to Olivia, advising players on how to maintain a good relationship with her, highlighting the importance of part-time jobs to increase stats. The Tika section discusses how to successfully invite her to the summer festival and avoid traps in her storyline. It also details events and conversation choices to build her affection, suggesting that players avoid being too flirtatious and being aware of her insecurities. The Marcia section notes that her story is different from the others, focusing on building affection to progress. It discusses events where the player can interact with her, including encountering her at the Dragon Shop, making promises, and giving her birthday presents. It advises players to be wary of how their actions might affect Tika's feelings. Finally, the section on Charlotte and Shirley explains that their scenarios are interconnected. It details how to trigger Charlotte's events and introduce Shirley into the story, and how she is a transfer student in the second year. The next page offers a strategy guide for the game, focusing on how to conquer 3 specific courses and providing character-specific tips. It emphasizes an aggressive approach, highlighting key techniques for achieving the fastest clear times in battles against both female characters and rivals. The guide details how to tackle each of the 3 courses, noting that machine performance is more critical on uphill climbs, while driver technique is essential for downhill sections. It gives advice on specific courses, such as the Akium Pass, where engine power is key. There are tips for battling specific rivals like Aoki Fuzihiko, Izumi Katsumi, Teraada Akira, Matsuo Hiroji, and Ueki Yosuke, each with their own unique driving styles and preferred courses. The guide also provides insights into the female characters, including Araki Miho, Enomoto Sayuri, Aoki Yuko, Asano Miyuki, Watanabe Shizuko, Goto Chi, Saito Minami, and a mysterious Sai, quote, detailing their appearances, event triggers, and key locations to visit to progress their storylines. These characters have key locations like schools, train stations, hospitals, and more to visit. The player must also keep their stats high. This page provides a complete walkthrough for the Sega Saturn game, Detective Jinguji Saburo, Dreams of the End, guiding players through the branching storyline and required steps. The game uses a unique zapping system where the narrative unfolds from the perspectives of 4 different protagonists. The walkthrough is presented as a series of flowcharts, broken into 7 blocks. Each block represents a specific time frame and scene in the game. The charts detail the locations the player must visit, the commands to use, and special actions that affect the story's progression. The player characters featured are Jinguji, Yoko, Kumano, and Miki. The guide is for the early to mid-game of the title, to help fans complete it. Specific scenes are highlighted with dates and times, such as April 10th at 10 a.m., where Jinguji wakes up from a nightmare and receives a phone call from an old friend, Yuka Nagata, requesting assistance with a job. It offers a structured way to approach the game, avoiding random choices and ensuring players hit all the critical story beats. The next page is an overview of Pocket Fighter on the Sega Saturn. It focuses on understanding the game's mechanics and character performance. The page introduces the game as a unique fighting action title and dives into how to perform special moves using directions and 3 buttons. It breaks down the standard techniques such as standing punch, crouching punch, jump punch, and anti-air, with example button combinations. The page highlights the guard crash system, explaining how to use it to break through opponents' defenses and steal gems. The article also mentions the guard crash reversal, where players can counter an incoming guard crash with the correct timing. This page is a Saturn Fan number 14 reader survey, The survey includes spaces for personal information such as address, name with furigana, and phone number. The user is asked to evaluate games they've played from page 67, table 4, and to list their preferred gift from the current issue. The page also includes spaces for filling in other numerical data, potentially for further categorization or analysis of reader demographics. There's also a request for a 50 yen stamp. The next page is a guide for Pocket Fighter, diving deep into the game's systems. It covers gem-based power-ups, item usage, special moves, and mighty combos. The page emphasizes mastering these systems for a competitive edge, highlighting the importance of collecting gems to level up special moves, and showcasing how to use items strategically. The guide also details flash combos, which are easy to execute but have hidden depth with branching paths into different attacks. It explains how to read your opponent and punish their mistakes, providing a flowchart for flash combos, advice on when to interrupt them, and defensive strategies like guard cancels. This page is a strategy guide for Pocket Fighter. It breaks down fighting styles and techniques for Ryu, Chun-Li, Ken, and Sakura. The guide emphasizes special move optimization, such as Ryu's Hadoken and Ken's Shoryuken, noting that leveling up certain moves is key. It also covers character-specific combos, gem usage for power-ups, and when to use specific attacks. The guide includes character attribute charts that denote the best moves to use, and hidden commands for advanced techniques. The strategy also highlights the importance of flash combos and when to interrupt them, as well as providing defensive strategies such as guard cancels. The next page offers a Pocket Fighter strategy guide for Morrigan, Shienko, Lele, Felicia, and Tabasa, also known as Lilith in some regions. Morrigan. This section recommends keeping Shadowblade at level 1 and focuses on the strength of her regular moves, especially crouch kick, which is similar to a downward kick. It suggests using Soul Fist after gaining red gems and prioritizing her powerful projectiles. Shienko, Lele. This details the use of her weapon and advises not to rely on it being guarded, but instead use it for GC setups. Prioritize obtaining yellow gems for her earth element, and use the darkness cannon for damage and stunning effects. Felicia. This section advises capping kick growth at level 2, and explains how the level 3 kick struggles to connect and is difficult to follow up. It emphasizes using rolling buckler, and lists some moves for initiating follow-up attacks. Tabasa. This section encourages players to prioritize Bell Up to Dragon Blow. It highlights the dragon's roar for quick attacks, and the utility of her jumping attack. It also details the use of Dragon Blow for clearing away projectiles. It mentions that the attack is difficult to evade. The guide lists the command for Astro Cannon. This guide provides strategies for Pocket Fighter characters. Ibuki excels with cautious play, jump attacks, and combos, focusing on Iguasa Hell and Wind Slash. Handen prioritizes leveling Koryuken and mixing punches/kicks, including Shunkyokusatsu. Zangief's strategy revolves around spinning piledriver, final atomic buster, and body press combos. Goki's approach emphasizes Gao Hadoken, canceling into other attacks, and using Tenshou Kaireki Kyaku, finishing with Shun Goku Satsu. Each section includes combo lists and command inputs. The next page dives into Langrisser V, The End of Legend, offering a walkthrough for scenarios 19 through 28. It details how player choices and character interactions impact the friendship levels of the heroines, particularly focusing on Marie, Brenda, and Claret. This guide includes specific dialogue choices in various scenarios and how they affect these relationships. There are also maps, conditions for victory and defeat, and enemy data for scenarios 19 and 20. Scenario 19 involves protecting villages from undead, while Scenario 20 focuses on protecting a supply convoy, with strategic advice on cutting off enemy advances, plus a list of enemy types and the rewards for completing them. There are notes that one of the main heroines, Claret, can charge into a battle with a boss if she is friendly enough. This page continues the walkthrough for Langrisser V, The End of Legend, focusing on scenarios 21 through 24. It details the victory and defeat conditions for each scenario, along with maps highlighting enemy placements. Scenarios 21 focuses on defeating all enemies in a confined area. 22 requires prioritizing the defeat of Deathlords. 23 focuses on breaking through a giant army. And 24 involves navigating a map full of traps to reach the Langrisser sword. Additionally, The guide provides insights into how dialogue choices affect the relationships with heroines like Claret. One notable event involves Claret attacking Gilmore if the player's friendship with her is high enough. It also mentions discovering the Blood Kiss Lance through specific map locations and events. The page lists enemy unit types like warriors, soldiers, elves, silver knights, and dragons. The next page continues the walkthrough for Langrisser V, The End of Legend, now covering scenarios 25 through 28. For scenario 25, it is about defeating the commander quickly within 20 turns. Scenario 26, cautions against careless advances, focusing on escaping with Alvins and avoiding being caught by the fire. Scenario 27 is about standing your ground and intercepting the oncoming enemy. The final scenario requires that you must quickly destroy the crystals. The page also details unit compositions and highlights the importance of unit placement and movement, suggesting specific character builds and the strategic use of magic. One additional section focuses on how dialogue choices influence character relationships. For instance, selecting certain options in conversations increases the friendship level with heroines like Marie or Claret. The page concludes with a list of enemy units, including soldiers, knights, dragons, and various golem types. This page provides a strategy guide for Deep Fear on the Sega Saturn. It covers basic controls, provides gameplay advice, and includes a flowchart map for the game's areas, such as the CCD area, Navy area, and docking area. The guide offers tips for survival, like managing weapons, oxygen, and using the search option. It explains the use of AS, air system, and RC, regulator charger, for oxygen replenishment. The guide then presents a walkthrough for the early parts of the game, directing players to key items like the first aid kit in the Nair's room and Navy key LV1 in the main deck, and air grenades, highlighting the importance of collecting items in specific areas. This Deep Fear Sega Saturn strategy guide details navigating the Navy area, focusing on acquiring items like the Robber Glock G17 and Navy Key LV1. Players must collect grenades and items from the warehouse, prepare for encounters in the underwater connection room, and progress through the docking and CCD areas, gathering submachine guns and emergency kits. The Sea Fox area presents challenges requiring careful resource management. Key items include the Sea Fox key, regulator, and fire extinguishing capsules, obtained from a fallen comrade or the waterlogged area. Players must defeat Dallas, initially using grenades, then Missile Control Key 1, and escape the torpedo room within 300 seconds. The guide concludes with monster information and images, including Dallas. This page is a strategy guide for Sakura Wars 2, focusing on key plot points in the 7th and 8th chapters. The story revolves around the character Orihime and her estranged father, exploring themes of forgiveness and reconciliation. The guide highlights important locations and events, including the Imperial Theater at night, Orihime's room, Asakusa, and battles. Screenshots show characters like Maria, Sumair, and the events surrounding the conflict between Orihime and her father, and the Black Demon Society's attack. The guide also includes information on character interactions and their outcomes, depending on dialogue choices. A minigame is featured that involves Sumair on stage. The next page offers a strategy guide for Sakura Wars 2, specifically focusing on key moments in Episode 8, titled The Longest Day in the Capital. The guide details events during a coup d'etat by the military, providing tips for navigating the Imperial Theater and the underground warehouse. It gives advice on how to rescue Orihime and her father, who are trapped in a building that will explode if the enemies reach them. There are dialogue choices that affect the next turn. It also offers strategies for defeating the boss character, Kasha, emphasizing the need to destroy his fire attacks and providing stats. The guide presents choices the player must make with time restraints, and also highlights the changing relationships between the main characters, particularly Orihime and the protagonist. This page features a collection of game advertisements and information. First is Guardian Force, a scrolling shooter. Next is Magical Night Dreams, Cotton 2 for Windows, a digital data collection including mini-games, wallpapers, CG data, and music from the game. Finally, there's an ad for the multimedia project Ojo-sama Tokyo Express, Young Lady Express, an adventure game. It mentions a novel, a comic, a CD, and a radio drama related to the game. The text promotes these expansions across various media and highlights the availability of the game on both Sega Saturn and PlayStation. The next page features details on two Visco-developed games, Jangu to Koishio and Koi Koi Shio, combined as Arcade Population 2-in-1, which includes both Mahjong and Hanafuda games. The page mentions Kiss, an idol group, and includes details on how to unlock their concert within the game. A Hanafuda tournament mode is featured, pitting the player against other female players in Koi Koi matches. This includes special date scene animations upon winning. Both games share a free battle mode, allowing you to compete with the game's women characters. There's also a Mahjong and Koi Koi classroom for beginners. The page also has information on Elf wo Karu Monotachi 2, translated as Those Who Hunt Elves 2, a sequel to the anime adventure game. The game features branching storylines determined by the player's choices, containing 12 episodes, and full voice acting and animation. The main characters are Ryudo Terpei, Inoue Ritsuko, Komiyama Eri, and Chelsea. The game uses a slot machine mechanic for battles, influenced by offensive and defensive stats. The page also mentions a free talk mode, featuring the characters, the inclusion of design documents, and alarm clock voice samples. This page is about a music creation game called Saturn Music School 2. You can connect a MIDI keyboard to your Sega Saturn for more detailed lessons, or use the controller's D-pad to input notes. There is a lesson mode, where you can play along to songs, as well as a make-your-own track mode. You can create tracks using up to 16 channels, with 32 simultaneous sounds. The tools in the game allow you to select a sound, adjust the volume and pitch, and also change the tempo or key. There are 24 built-in tracks to choose from. The page also talks about the adult adventure game, Onna o Nerai. It centers on the protagonist trying to win over a girl named Mitsuhime Saito. 5 other girls will assist you. By increasing specific character stats, you can engage in minigames. Depending on your choices, H-scenes may also occur. This title contains full voice acting from popular adult video actresses. The game includes minigame sections, where you can raise your character's stats of study, swimming, and art. Completing these will result in multiple character endings. The next page introduces High School Terra Story, a romance simulation game where the goal is to improve yourself and become popular with girls. You play as the protagonist, who falls in love with a beautiful girl named Misa. With the help of friends, you aim to get to know girls and build relationships with them. There are 7 romanceable girls besides Misa. By raising your affection level through events, you can progress towards different endings. The game features elements such as attending classes to improve your stats, including academics, fitness, and sensibility. Classes are chosen randomly and impact specific stats. You can also work part-time. There are also mini-games during school events like cultural festivals, sports festivals, and tests, where good performance boosts your stats. If your fatigue gets too high, it affects your performance, so you'll need to rest or visit the hospital. As you increase your relationship with a girl, you can go on dates. These dates include locations like the aquarium and park, featuring special graphics and dialogue. The page also includes an interview with Kuki Ikeuchi, the director of Another Memories, and known for the Eternal Melody series, where he discusses his game development philosophy and the challenges he faced while creating Another Memories. This page is a software review section titled Saturn Impressions, covering upcoming games for the Sega Saturn. Specifically, software scheduled for release between July 16th and July 23rd. Especially titles are highlighted, particularly Lunar, Eternal Blue, a remake of the popular RPG, and Treasure's Radiant Silvergun, the must-see title for RPG and STG fans. The page features reviews from various contributors who provide their thoughts on the games. Lunar, Eternal Blue, is touted as a love adventure, RPG, with improved speed and item use compared to the Mega CD version, and also has refined scenarios. Reviewers praise its story and game balance. High School Terra Story is described as a classic romance simulation game, where the player improves their stats and builds relationships with girls. However, reviewers mention the lack of new elements and frustrating aspects of gameplay. Konami Antiques MSX Collection Ultra Pack is also featured, being a collection of MSX games, praised for its faithful recreation and appeal to collectors, while warning that modern gamers may find it old and repetitive. Deep Fear is reviewed as an action-adventure set in an underwater base. Despite strong production values, it lacks in the horror department, with reviewers criticizing its predictable scares and lackluster combat. The next page features Saturn Soft Impression, with reviews of several upcoming games for the Sega Saturn. Madhu Monogatari is praised for its charming characters and engaging story. Radiant Silvergun is noted for its deep gameplay and impressive visuals, with reviewers highlighting the satisfaction of mastering its scoring system. The erotic adventure game, Oju-sama wo Nere, is criticized for its weak voice acting and shallow gameplay despite its explicit content. Reviewers discuss the merits of each game, focusing on their unique features and overall enjoyment. They delve into the strengths and weaknesses of each title, offering balanced opinions and recommendations for players. This page features a strategy guide for Daytona USA 2, Battle on the Edge, focusing on the beginner course. It gives tips on how to master the oval course in 8 laps, recommending the hard mode car for an authentic experience. The guide covers techniques from the rolling start to the first corner, slipstreaming, navigating the complex corners, drifting, and maintaining speed on straightaways. The guide emphasizes efficient use of slipstreams to gain speed and overtake opponents, along with specific instructions for handling each section of the track, including cornering strategies and drifting techniques. It includes target times for each lap and overall race completion. It also mentions that in Daytona USA 2, there are 3 types of cars to choose from, and the guide recommends the hard type car to get the real Daytona experience. They say that it is hard at first, but once you get used to drifting, then you will be addicted. The page also contains some advice and information, such as there are different drifts in Daytona USA 2, and also a warning to not cut corners too much and spin out. Finally, there is information about a Sega Hardcore Generation Club event. The next page features a variety of arcade hits and upcoming releases. The King of Fighters 98 is highlighted as a Dream Match edition, with returning characters and new elements like the Advantage system, which gives losing players an edge. The American sports team returns after 4 years, with stages getting a revamp. Street Fighter 03 is previewed, focusing on the new ISM system and the introduction of Guard Crush, plus the ability to follow up attacks on opponents in the air. Original combos are now exclusive to Virism. There's also a short piece on the upcoming Othello series game from Success, offering story, practice, and tutorial modes for players to enjoy. This page is all about new releases and providing information about the games and characters featured. This page is from Japan Game of the Year 1998. It presents the nominated titles for the awards, covering games released between April 1, 1997 and March 31, 1998. There are awards for different categories, including Grand Prix, Freshness, Visuals, and Sound. The nominated games are listed with their developers and platforms. Games such as Ark the Lad Monster Game with Casino Game, Armored Core, Azel Panzer Dragoon RPG, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Grandia, Dead or Alive, Street Fighter 03, Final Fantasy V2 International, and Resident Evil 2 are mentioned. The page also details the voting process, explaining how readers can vote for their favorite games. There is a description of the voting process, where readers can select games for each award category and mail in their votes. Additionally, it mentions prizes for voters selected by a lottery, and some images showing prizes such as a DVD player, digital camera with a printer, and a portable MD player are shown. The page ends with a list of participating gaming magazines and a series of logos for various gaming magazines and console brands, such as Saturn and PlayStation. The next page showcases a strategy guide for Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter, focusing on the Sega Saturn version. It boasts full-color maps and in-depth data, including enemy stats and unit deployments. The guide emphasizes how to recruit enemy pilots, unlock hidden units, and master scenarios. Several games are advertised with their prices, including Press of Fire 2i, Gallop Racer 2, Crime Crackers 2, Another Step, Blaze and Blade, and Super Robot Wars F. The page also includes character data, such as stats for the Hyper Replace Ringcron, piloted by Jared Mesa, and Alan Brady's Replace Ringcron. Additionally, the text highlights tips on how to handle specific scenarios, like the Uwasano Haretsu Banjo scenario from Super Robot Wars F. This page features hyper-ultra tech tips for various Sega Saturn games, rated 1 to 5 for usefulness. Contributors are rewarded. Tips include secret name entries in Princess Maker to change staff names, a post-game voice test in Castlevania, using a specific unit in Super Robot Wars, viewing Langrisser V's opening movie in 4 split screen, unlocking a ghost car in GT24 and shortening pit stops, activating a 2-player mode in Grandia, glitches in King of Fighters 97, including mirrored Shingo and sealed Iori moves, and slowing down gameplay in Sega Ages. The page solicits new tips. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. The next page of Sega Saturn Fan Magazine features a Newswave section, highlighting new music and video releases related to Sega Saturn games. It covers the simultaneous theatrical release of Slayers and Nadesico movies, appealing to game fans. There's also a discussion about the impact of copyright on used game sales, with opinions from ACCS and Arts. Several soundtracks are featured. Sakura Wars, Gorgeous Blooming, Deep Fear, and Daytona USA 2. A Fighting Vipers 2 video guide is also mentioned. A reader giveaway includes Eternal Melody desktop mascots, Another Memories sets, a Capcom action card game starter pack, and Castlevania Symphony of the Night software. The next page is a Sega Saturn Navigator section, giving an overview of upcoming games and software for the Sega Saturn. It introduces Capcom Generation, where players can enjoy Capcom arcade classics, and the collection includes titles like 1942, alongside a look at Capcom's Roots Volume 3, featuring shooters like Bargus, XX's, and Vulgus. The page also features Angelique Duet, a simulation where you play as Rosalia, and Back Gwiner, revival of the Warrior's Awakening chapter, Gwiner Rebirth, where the protagonist Kazu Mizuki awakens as Ginner. Also featured is Monster Banquet Volume 2, Demon World and Night, and discusses the data-filled collection mode with character illustrations and development materials. Finally, it teases a limited edition of Dukoku Soshite, with a special sleeve case designed by Yokota Mamoru. This page focuses on upcoming Sega Saturn and Dreamcast releases. It kicks off with a section dedicated to anticipated games, with developer comments and status updates. Titles like Pro Baseball Greatest 998 Summer Action are marked as 100% complete, boasting updated player data. Backliner is also nearing completion. Black Matrix will be released on August 27th. Friends, Shining of Youth is 85% complete, with news of a drama CD Pia Carat A Yukoso. 2 is 75% complete, and Slayers Royal 2 has a battle system. Other titles mentioned include Capcom Generation, slated for a future release, and Digital Monster vs. Digimon Tamers, which is 60% complete. There is also 7th Cross for the Sega Saturn, which is 60% complete, and Sengoku Turb, which is 40% complete. Finally, D no Shokutaku 2, D's Diner 2, which is 30% complete. The page includes a release calendar, highlighting titles like Pocket Fighter, Code R, Detective Jinguji Saburo, Yume no Owari ni, Elf Wokaru Monotachi 2 or Those Who Hunt Elves 2, Deep Fear, Luna 2 Eternal Blue, High School Terra Story, Konami Antiques MSX Collection Ultra Pack, Sonic Jam, Madu Monogatari, Puzzle Bobble 2X, Radiant Silvergun, Metal Black, Waku Waku Monster, and the Angelique Duet, also named, is Angelique Duet Premium Box, Puyo Puyo Sun, and Moero Pro 98 Special. The page concludes with details for upcoming Dreamcast titles, and an advert for D's Diner 2 from Warp. This page from Sega Saturn Fan Magazine previews upcoming Sega Saturn games scheduled for release on July 24th, focusing on Luna 2, Eternal Blue, and offering strategies for Radiant Silvergun. The magazine is also covering Nadesico, Bakkenloader, and Royal 2, plus insider information on the top 3 NEC Interchannel titles. The magazine includes a game index that features games such as Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, Another Memories, Angelique Duet, Elves 2, Princess Lesson, Those Who Hunt Elves 2, and several Capcom Generation titles. Also listed are Mobile Battleship Nadesico, The Blank of 3 Years, Grandia Digital Museum, Code R, Konami Antiques, The King of Fighters 97, Sakura Wars 2, Sega Ages Fantasy Star Collection, Deep Fear, Detective Jinguiji Saburo, Slayers Royal 2, and Shining Force 2. An ad index features ads for Guardian Force, Cotton 2, Deep Fear, Rhapsody of the Ocean, and more. The back cover features deep fear, with the tagline, "Parasite, Mutation, no one can be trusted anymore." It mentions the game is coming in the summer, and has 2 quadrants. This page showcases the communication adventure game, Etude Prologue for Windows and Sega Saturn, set to be released on July 24th for Windows, with a limited edition CD included, and in the fall for Sega Saturn. The game explores the characters' feelings and futures, with mention of a radio drama airing every Monday at 1900. The ad details upcoming releases, like a CD featuring voice actresses and trading cards. An event is planned in Akihabara to commemorate the game's release. The page also features character art and screenshots from the game, while also providing release dates and related information about the game and related media. This page features a double-page spread. On the left, there's an ad for the 1998 Godzilla movie, alongside an advert for the Atsumate Godzilla game, where you collect and battle Godzilla monsters. The right-hand side features artwork of Mina Hinamori from Welcome to Pia 2, lying in the grass with a dog. The top corner has the Saturn Fan logo with the publication date.